My grandfather was the only one in my family who ever truly saw me. While the rest of them treated me like background noise, an extra in their drama, he treated me like the main character of my own story. From the time I was a little kid stumbling over my words at school to the awkward teenager with dreams that didn't fit the family mold, Grandpa always stood in my corner. So when he passed away, I expected grief. I didn't expect betrayal. The morning of the funeral was already heavy. Black suits, murmured condolences, and a biting wind that seemed to cut right through the layers of fabric and skin. I had prepared a short eulogy the night before, pouring my heart out on paper. It wasn't anything dramatic, just stories. The way he'd sneak me butterscotch candies even when my mom said no. How he'd sit through my awful guitar recitals like I was playing at Carnegie Hall. How he always called me champ, even when I felt like a failure. But when I arrived at the church, something felt off. My cousin Jenny greeted me at the door, eyes scanning me from head to toe like she'd just found a stain on the carpet. "Oh, you came," she said flatly. "Of course I came," I replied. "He was my grandfather." She opened her mouth to say something, then closed it, forcing a fake smile. "Right. Well, the program's already set. Just find a seat, okay?" The program. That was my first red flag. I took a seat in the back and unfolded the printed schedule. Music by Aunt Denise, speech by Uncle Ray, reading by Cousin Blake. Nowhere was I mentioned. I felt my stomach drop. I flipped the page again, like maybe I'd missed my own name. But I hadn't. I wasn't listed. Not even a small note or prayer. I stood up, heart pounding, and made my way to the front where my mom and sister were seated. My mom gave me a look I'd seen 1,000 times growing up, equal parts annoyance and condescension. "Why am I not on the program?" I whispered. "You didn't confirm with anyone," my sister whispered back, eyes wide with mock concern. "I didn't know I had to. He was my grandfather. I have something to say." Mom leaned in. "This isn't about you. Don't make a scene. Please." That word again, scene. As if my grief was performative. As if speaking from the heart was some kind of tantrum. So, I sat back down. I clenched my jaw as family members paraded up to the podium, reciting shallow memories or reading generic Bible verses. It felt rehearsed. Empty. The real grandpa, the one I knew, wasn't in any of their words. I stayed silent through the entire service, hands folded so tightly my knuckles ached. Afterwards, at the reception, people laughed and clinked glasses, like it was a celebration. I wandered to the back of the hall, out of sight, and that's when one of the church volunteers approached me. She was older, with a kind smile and a clipboard in her hands. "You're Alex, right?" she asked. I nodded, confused. She handed me a sealed envelope. "He left this with us, said to give it to you after the funeral." My fingers trembled as I opened it. Inside, in my grandfather's neat handwriting, was a single sentence. "You were always my voice when no one else would listen. Now let mine be yours." And beneath that, legal documents, a will, and my name. I was the sole heir. I stood in the back of the church hall, staring at the papers in my hands as the noise of the reception dimmed around me. I wasn't imagining things. It was real. My grandfather had left me everything. His house, his savings, his investments, even his collection of vintage watches he never let anyone touch. I slipped the documents into my coat pocket and walked, out unnoticed. No one even cared that I was gone. That night, I sat at my tiny apartment kitchen table, the will spread out in front of me. The lawyer's name was listed, along with a note in Grandpa's handwriting. "Alex, I'm proud of you. I trust you to make your own way." Tears welled up, not because of the inheritance, but because even after death, he had found a way to tell me I mattered. The man who once taught me how to ride a bike had handed me the tools to ride out of the shadow of this family forever. I called the lawyer first thing the next morning. He confirmed everything. "Yes," he said. "Your grandfather updated his will 6 months before his passing. You are the sole beneficiary. And yes, the rest of the family knows. They what? I blinked. They already know. They were informed after the reading this morning. I'm surprised they haven't contacted you yet. Right on cue, my phone buzzed. 10 missed calls. My mother, my sister, my cousin Jenny. A text popped up from my mom. We need to talk. You can't seriously keep all of it. That's not fair. Fair. This from the woman who shushed me at my own grandfather's funeral. I ignored the calls. I needed time. But the messages didn't stop. First came the guilt. You know your grandfather was confused in his final days. Then came the entitlement. We all took care of him. You barely visited. Then came the demands. You're going to split it, right? That's what he would have wanted. They didn't realize the more they pushed, the more their true colors showed. A week passed before I agreed to meet them. We gathered in my grandfather's house, now legally mine. My mother didn't waste a second. This is ridiculous, she said. You don't need all of this. Your cousin Blake is saving for a house. Your sister is planning a wedding. You don't even own property. That's not my fault, I replied calmly. You didn't even give a speech at the funeral. She snapped. You didn't honor him. I looked her dead in the eye. I wasn't allowed to. You told me not to make a scene. That shut her up for a moment. My sister chimed in. You're going to keep all of it out of spite? Come on, Alex. I reached into my bag and pulled out a framed photo. Me and Grandpa fishing at the lake when I was 10. I placed it on the coffee table. You think this is about money? He left it to me because he knew how you all treated me. He knew the difference between performance and love. They stared at me like I'd slapped them. And I'm not here to punish anyone, I said. But I'm also not going to reward people who saw me as a burden. I stood up. You didn't want to hear my voice at his funeral. Now you'll hear it every time you remember what he gave to me. I walked out. For the first time in my life, they had nothing to say. After that confrontation, I thought they might finally leave me alone. But I underestimated just how much they hated not being in control, especially my mother. Within days, whispers turned into drama. A distant cousin posted a vague status on Facebook. Some people forget where they come from when they get a little money. I laughed because I'd never been allowed to belong in the first place. I expected judgment. What I didn't expect was what came next. The lawyer called me again. Alex, he said cautiously, you might want to sit down. Your mother is threatening to contest the will. I almost dropped my coffee. She can't do that. There's no legal basis. She's claiming mental incompetence, says your grandfather was manipulated or confused. I was furious, not just at the lie, but at the insult. To him. My grandfather was sharper in his final year than most people in their prime. We had hour-long conversations about everything from finance to philosophy. He chose me, and they couldn't stand that. I asked the lawyer what it would take to shut this down quickly. Documented proof, letters, recordings, anything that shows his clarity and intent. He didn't know I already had exactly that. 6 months before he died, Grandpa had started writing me letters. I had 10 of them. Each one filled with observations, advice, love, and details about why he made the decisions he did. In one letter, he wrote, "They never saw you for who you are, but I did. I want you to take this chance and build the life they said you couldn't." I scanned every page, emailed the lawyer, and within a week, her challenge was dead in the water. That didn't stop them from trying to get to me in other ways. My sister showed up at my new doorstep crying, saying she just wanted to talk. I offered her a seat, listened politely. Then she casually mentioned how she and her fiancé were hoping to put a down payment on a house, but things are tight. I smiled. That sounds hard. I hope it works out. I didn't give her a dime. For the first time in years, I had clarity. Not revenge, not bitterness, Boundaries. I didn't want to live in Grandpa's old house. It was beautiful, but filled with ghosts. So I sold it, at triple its appraised value, thanks to the booming market, and invested the money just like he'd taught me. Then I started a scholarship in his name, for kids like me. Kids the world ignores until they make it impossible to be ignored. I didn't post about it. I didn't announce it. But somehow they found out. And suddenly, the same people who wouldn't let me speak at a funeral were calling me inspiring and successful. I ignored the noise. I had finally learned to listen to the only voice that ever mattered, my own. 6 months after the funeral, I got a letter, an actual, handwritten letter, from my cousin Amelia. She was always the one who stood just a little behind the main tormentors. She never said much herself, but she laughed. She nodded. She looked the other way. In her letter, she wrote, "I never realized how cruel we were. I thought we were just keeping tradition. I'm sorry. I don't expect anything from you, but I wanted you to know I see it now." It shook me, because for once, it wasn't a plea for money. It wasn't a manipulation. It was a confession. Didn't respond immediately. I let it sit. Meanwhile, life moved on. The scholarship launched quietly. Within weeks, I got dozens of emails from first-generation students, some crying, some just stunned to be noticed. I mentored 2 of them personally. They reminded me of myself at 18, hopeful, terrified, and angry at how small the world tried to make them. I channeled everything into building something better than what I came from. Then came the local paper. A journalist, young, sharp, hungry, reached out. She'd heard about the scholarship, the will, the feud. She asked if I wanted to talk. At first, I declined. I wasn't doing this for attention. But then I remembered the funeral. How they tried to erase me. How they told me I didn't deserve to speak. So I said yes. The article dropped with the headline, "The grandson no one wanted at the funeral now funds the future of dozens." It went viral in a small way. Not national, but enough to light up every group chat in my extended family. Screenshots, DMs, voicemails. Why would you embarrass us like this? Couldn't you just let the past go? This isn't what Grandpa would have wanted. I ignored them because I knew the truth. He wanted me to speak. He wanted me to be seen. He wanted me to rise. A week later, I wrote Amelia back. "Thank you. That means more than you know. I forgive you, but I won't be coming back to family dinners. I'm building something better. And you're welcome to be part of that future, if you truly want to." I haven't heard from most of the others since, but every now and then, I'll get a message from someone I grew up with, someone who watched me be humiliated, someone who remembers that funeral, and every single one of them says the same thing. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I don't need their validation anymore, but I'll never stop telling this story because someone else out there is being told they don't deserve to speak. And I want them to know. One day, they'll listen. One day, they'll all listen."